All right, hey everyone, what's up? Jammer here from Jammer's Wrestling Magazine Collection. And today I am going to do a year episode. It's going to be on the year 1991. Now, 1991 was a very interesting time in pro wrestling. We saw Hulk Hogan reemerge as WWF champion again at WrestleMania. We saw Ric Flair leave WCW to go to the WWF. So it was just an interesting era of wrestling that took place in 1991. And we actually went from also the NWA to WCW fully in that year. So let's start off with January 1991 for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. We have right on the cover WWF versus NWA, which is better. We got the Ultimate Warrior, the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, and Hulk Hogan for the WWF. And on the other side is Sting, Lex Luger, and Ric Flair for the NWA. We also have, do I have the poster in here? Oh, the poster's at the back. That's right. These ones are at the back here. It's the Texas Tornado. I hated these because you couldn't put these posters up, right? If you did, you ripped your book. You tore it apart. So, yeah, that was just really, really bad when they did that. January 91 for The Wrestler. The Survivor Series Survival Guide. Everything you need to know about the WWF Extravaganza. We got a Feud for Thought with the Legion of Doom versus Demolition. Hulk Hogan, the Hulk Hogan Factor. Is this really the Hulkster's event? And a roll call, a look back at past competitors. So at the time, the Survivor Series was, from 1987. This would be the 1990 edition. So it would have been the fourth Survivor Series. Inside Wrestling, January 91. Warning to the Ultimate Warrior, the Legion of Doom will lead you to destruction. No, the LOD actually tagged with the Warrior in 6-man tag matches against Demolition a lot and were a part of his Survivor Series team. So that did not happen. The LOD did not turn on the Warrior like they turned on Sting. I don't like how that's there. There we go. Sports Review Wrestling, January 91. Starrcade Battle of the Belts. Sting and Luger demand it. The fans demand it, but what? Who knows? I don't know. Read the magazine to find out. And it says, will Tugboat sink the Hulkster? No, Tugboat didn't turn on the Hulkster. Actually, Tugboat turned on the Bushwhackers in the year 1991. Also now, we go into, I guess, February. We don't have any other Januaries. Okay, February 91 for PWI. Join the WWF Superstars in Los Angeles. Win a free trip for 2 to WrestleMania 7. There we see Hogan, Warrior, Earthquake, Mr. Perfect, and the Texas Tornado. And on the back here, we have a calendar. It's a calendar issue. That's lame. But it doesn't matter anyhow. You're not going to be able to rip it out. February 91 for The Wrestler. The Incredible Halloween Havoc Hoax. That is not Sting, ladies and gentlemen. That's actually Barry Windham disguised as Sting. But when Barry cuts his hair short and spikes it up, he actually does look like Sting. That's pretty incredible. Does Jimmy Hart own a piece of Hulk Hogan? Wow. That would come true 2 years later in 1993. Inside Wrestling, February 91. Can Hulk Hogan make it 3? There he is beating the Iron Sheik. There he is beating Randy Macho Man Savage. But could he beat Sergeant Slaughter? Only time will tell. An exclusive, why did Sting team with Doom's Ron Simmons? Well, that's because Ron Simmons and Butch Reed were feuding with the Horsemen at the time. February 91 for Sports Review Wrestling. A photo section of Halloween Havoc 90. Of course, that was the event I just showed you with Barry Windham dressed up as Sting. A really good tag match with the Steiners and the Nasty Boys. And I'm not joking about that. If you actually go back and watch that, that was a bloody, hard-hitting, just a brutal match. It was like brutal as in just explosive and violent. Like it's something that is worth checking out, honestly. For February 1991 for Wrestling Superstars, we got the dream match is Sting versus Lex Luger, which has come true many times. We have Wrestling Superstars Forecast, Wrestling's Next Champs, Hulk Hogan, WWF World Champ, Sid, US Champ, Savage, Intercontinental Champ, and Steiner's NWA Tag Champs. Some of that happened. Sid won the US title in 1999. Savage never did regain the Intercontinental title, though. That was a little bit beyond Macho Man then. And next up, we have March 91. And it's the 1990 year in review for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I had this magazine as a kid. Let's take a look at the awards and who won them. So we start off with Rookie of the Year went to this guy, Steve Austin. Whatever happened to him, I don't know. I don't think he's even around anymore. I don't think he did much in his career. Inspirational Wrestler of the Year, Sting. Stinger there, after blowing out his knee, making a return to win the world title. Most Improved Wrestler of the Year was Paul Roma from Power and Glory. Manager of the Year was Teddy Long, with runners-up Bobby Heenan, Ole Anderson, and Jim Cornette. So Teddy beat a lot of good managers there. Feud of the Year was Ric Flair versus Lex Luger. So, again, that was a great feud in 1990. And a great leapfrog there by Lex. Look at that. He's even scared of it. He's like, what am I doing? Most Popular Wrestler of the Year was Hulk Hogan with Sting, Ultimate Warrior, and Lex Luger as the runner-ups. Most Hated was Earthquake with Ric Flair, Rick Rude, and Eddie Gilbert as the runner-ups. Match of the Year was Hogan and Warrior from WrestleMania, and runners-up were Sting and Flair from the Great American Bash, Hogan and Earthquake from SummerSlam, and the actual Royal Rumble match. Tag Team of the Year was Rick and Scott, the Steiner Brothers with Demolition, Doom, and the Legion of Doom, all in the runners-up. Sting was Wrestler of the Year with Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, and Lex Luger as the runners-up. And our Editor's Award went to Buddy Rogers, the Nature Boy, the first ever WWF champion, former NWA champion. What a guy. March 91 for the wrestler. Warning to the Ultimate Warrior, Roddy Piper wants you. I'm not sure what he wants him for, but there he is. Hot Rod's ready for the Warrior. He really wants him. Inside Wrestling for March 91. The Earthquake feud rumbles on. Will Hulk Hogan be the victim of his own deadly obsession? Of course, the Hulkster ended that feud at the Royal Rumble when he eliminated Earthquake to win said Royal Rumble. March 91 for Sports Review Wrestling. It's 1990, the year in pictures. We see Warrior and Hogan, Sting, Flair, Piper, the Tornado, Scott Steiner and Bobby Eaton, and the sweet shot of the Four Horsemen down there. Is there colored photos in here? Unless they're ripped out. Oh no, there is some in here. I love seeing these. So we got some colored photos here of some things. I guess I don't know if this is going in like year, like January through December. I'm not entirely sure how they were doing this, but it's just nice to see colored photos every once in a while in these magazines. Even the women wrestling. Too exhausted to appreciate their accomplishment, DJ Peterson and the Trooper returned to their dressing room after ending a 10-month AWA title reign of the Destruction Crew. One of those guys was the Patriot, I believe. There's Steve Austin and Chris Adams in a chain match. Yeah, pretty sweet. April. Oh, wait, sorry. This is next. I forgot I even had this. Wrestling 91. Wrestling's top champions. What 1991 has in store for him? Ultimate Warrior. Will he face Hulk Hogan? Sting. Will the Horsemen finally get him? Rick and Scott Steiner. Can they regain the world belts? Look at that. Look at all those belts on the cover there. It's a sweet looking cover. That Intercontinental title belt looks really good there too. Looks nice. All right. Next up now, we got April 91. Sergeant Slaughter guilty of treason on the PWI cover here because he's no longer a American hero. Look at that. They even put the Iraqi flag, was it, I believe, there in the background. And Tom Zank. The Z-Man is our fold out there for all the fans who love Tom Zank. April 91 for the wrestler. Hulk Hogan. The challenges that remain. Slaughter, Earthquake, Warrior and Bruno? Oh, Eclipse the Legend. Well, yeah, I think Hogan. Did Hogan eclipse the legend of Bruno Sammartino? That's a tough one because it's two different eras, two different styles of WWF or WWWF, whatever you want to say. For April 91 for Inside Wrestling, the Steiners, they'd be wrestling's greatest tag team, but got to get the magazine to find out what happened, right? So there's that. April of 91 for Sports Review Wrestling, we have The Foundation of a Champion, how young Bret Hart grew into the Hitman. There he is from 1987 in that photo with the tag title, but there's a good shot of Bret, always looking spectacular. And we have the Starrcade 90 match-by-match coverage in this one. April of 91 of Wrestling Superstars. Here's a great cover. Superstar Dream Match, Hogan Warrior 2. And it did happen in WCW in 1998, and it wasn't really that good, let's be honest. But we still got it, just in the wrong company and at the wrong time. May of 91 for PWI, WrestleMania 7 Shocker. Who is secretly plotting to destroy Hulk Hogan before March 24th? Is it Randy Savage? Is it Ultimate Warrior? Is it Roddy Piper? Is it Sergeant Slaughter? Is it Earthquake? Well, I'm going to guess it would be the Sarge, since the Sarge was wrestling Hogan at that one. And Arn Anderson is our sweet photo there of the month. May of 91 for The Wrestler. Only Hulk Hogan can rid the WWF title of the stench of Sergeant Slaughter. There it is, the Hulkster. They're getting ready now. They know WrestleMania 7 is going to be Hogan and Slaughter, right? I mean, let's be honest. It pretty much looked that way, since I knew that was going to happen actually since maybe Survivor Series. I had a hunch it's going to be Hogan and Slaughter. They're going to get the belt off Warrior, and they did, right? May of 91 for Inside Wrestling. Consumed by Hatred, Savage versus Warrior, the bloodlust of ex-champions. So they kind of knew those two were going to be heading into WrestleMania 2. Sorry, I meant WrestleMania also, as in WrestleMania 7. But that was that was a great match too. If anyone hasn't seen that, which I'm guessing you have, check out WrestleMania 7, Warrior and Savage. It's the first time you'll see wrestlers no-sell the finishes and continue on. Except for Hogan. Hogan made a career out of that. But let's see, May 91... for Sports Review Wrestling, it's WrestleMania Bombshell. An expert psychologist warns Hulk Hogan is at the breaking point. Short but glorious, the title reigns of Sting and the Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, Sting lost his belt in January of 91 to Flair, and Warrior lost his belt in January of 91 to Sergeant Slaughter. We got next, June 91. I had this magazine as a kid. This is awesome. America's Hero. Look at that. Sweet cartoon drawing of the Hulkster there. Man, he's quite ripped. For some reason, they gave him an enormous package there. But he'll tell you that. He says that Hulk Hogan has like a 14-inch penis where Terry Bollea doesn't. So Hulkster's crazy, but that's all right. Of course, the photo here is of Hacksaw Jim Duggan. That's an early photo of Hacksaw, probably UWF days, it looks like. Let's see, June 91 for The Wrestler. How much longer can we depend on Hulk Hogan? There he is with the title. That's true. Hulkster was kind of like winding down. Even in 91, you could tell it wasn't going to be much longer. And the fans were kind of getting bored of him then. Remember Royal Rumble 92? They chanted Sid over Hogan. So June 91 of Inside Wrestling. Tag Team Thunder. Rick and Scott Steiner, The Best Is Yet to Come, and the Legion of Doom, Mean and Hungry again. Legion of Doom were in the WWF here. They were getting ready to eventually go after the Nasty Boys for the tag titles. And Steiners were WCW tag champions, I believe, at the time. So, June 91, Sports Review Wrestling. I hate this cover. The Undertaker making the WWF his personal graveyard. Look at that picture of Taker. That is like Memphis Wrestling, Mark Callis. His hair is short. He just doesn't look like the Undertaker at all. You're telling me they couldn't find a better photo, and look at that. Rest in peace, Big Boss Man. Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior. So, and look at that. It's a part. I should rebuy this magazine. That's on my list of things to do down the road, is to, get a new one of those. Um, June 91 for Wrestling Superstars. I had this magazine as a kid too. It's Superstar Dream Match, Wrestling Strongest Man Competition. We got Hulk Hogan, Sid Vicious, Dr. Dusty Williams, and the Ultimate Warrior. That'd be quite the match there with those muscle heads. Also, for summer of 91, for Wrestling 91, it is the Super Brawl 91 results there for that. We got Ric Flair versus Tatsumi Fujinami, Lex Luger and Sting versus the Steiners, which is an awesome tag match. Check that out if you can sometime, from Super Brawl 91. And Sid Vicious versus El Gigante, the Twin Towers of Terror. That was actually a really good pay-per-view at the time for WCW. I remember Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton had a great match for the TV title. They really did. They had great matches all that year, actually. July 91 for PWI. The war is over. Hulk Hogan liberates the WWF belt from Sergeant Slaughter. There it is. WrestleMania 7, the Hulkster did win the championship. He took the belt from the Sarge. It was I think it was close to a 20-minute match, and Hogan was busted open. Just a great storytelling to that match. It's not a technical match. It was great storytelling. July 91 for the Wrestler. Can Ric Flair shatter the myth of Japanese I'm going to screw that word up. Superiority? I did it. I didn't screw it up. That's crazy. I actually said the word properly. Yeah, this was the Fujinami Flair Wars that they were talking about from Japan and WCW at the time. And I think this was one of the last Flair WCW covers, I bet. I'm pretty sure he's leaving in a matter of a month or two. We got Inside Wrestling, July 91 here. Burning Mad. Beating Slaughter for the title was not enough, says the Hulkster. And that's an interesting shot of Hogan there. Just a big cover of his face. Rick and Scott Steiner were not half as good as we're going to be. That is true. The Steiners did get better as time went on, which is crazy because they were pretty good back then. July 91 for Sports Review Wrestling. Lex Luger, his only good future is a bad future. And that is true. Lex Luger did turn heel at the Great American Bash 91 and won the WCW title from Barry Windham in a vacated title match. But why the Ultimate Warrior is leading the drive to bring back Randy Savage. And a special section, a pictorial history of the title here. I'm sure it's not colored, but let me see here. If I can even find it. Page 24. Oh, no. Yeah, it's just like that. Black and white. Still kind of neat, I guess, if at the time to see who was champion and how long they held it and whatnot. Especially if you didn't know at the time. We got next August 91. And for PWI, it's Supercards 91. I had this magazine as a kid. It's talking about WrestleMania 7, and it talks about, I don't know what you want to call it, Starrcade 91 in Japan. I think that's what they called it. Oh, sorry, you know what I missed? I didn't show you in this one, I guess, the color foldout of this one is Brian Pillman. I just remembered I didn't show that. I was too caught up in Hogan winning the belt. The color fold up in this one is the Hulkster. The Hulkster gets it there. Remember that commercial right there? Where he, oh man, what was it for? Some sort of, deodorant or something, I believe. August 91 for the Wrestler. If Sergeant Slaughter said I'm sorry, would Hulk Hogan and the world forgive him? Looks like I need to update this one too. This cover is off the staples. Would he forgive him? I don't know. I mean, I know Jim Duggan did, and Duggan and Slaughter became a tag team in 1992, but I don't know if Hulkster ever did. Yeah, so now, everyone, my next thing too is to go through these magazines, see which covers are off the staples, and just try to rebuy them. It shouldn't be that hard of a a task ahead of me to do. I'm sure it'd be rather easy to find these magazines, but we'll see. August 91 for Inside Wrestling. Are the Steiners getting too cocky for their own good? Well, no, they just said earlier on that they're not going to be as good as they're going to get or something. What was that saying? We're not half as good as we're going to be. There it is. Yeah. And there's Ricky Steamboat in the WWF now as the Dragon. August 91 for Sports Review Wrestling. A look at wrestling from A to Z. We got Hulk Hogan, Sid Vicious, Ultimate Warrior, Lex Luger, and Ric Flair on the cover. Man, wouldn't it have been great if the Z-Man made the cover, like Arn Anderson to Z-Man? That would make sense if it's A to Z. Oh, well. Now we got Wrestling Superstars, August 91. It's an exclusive Stato chart ratings and an in-depth analysis of the sport's top 20 stars. Here we see Hulk Hogan versus Curt Hennig, Sid Vicious versus Brian Pillman, and Lex Luger versus Ric Flair on the cover. Superstar Dream Match, the Legion of Doom versus Rick and Scott Steiner. That match did happen. It wasn't really a dream match. I mean, the match already happened by the time this magazine came out. That match happened at Starrcade 89 when they had, the Road Warriors, Steiners, Doom, and the Samoan SWAT team wrestle each other in matches for some stupid, I forget what it was, right? Like the Iron Man challenge, Iron Tag Team challenge. It was so dumb. To this day, I actually haven't watched that full event. I've seen some matches, like either on the Starrcade DVD that the WWE released, or but that's it. I haven't seen like the entire show. Up next is September 91 for PWI. Our computer confirms the Steiners are the best team in the world today. Well, I guess they have every reason to be cocky then, right? So PWI just said they're the best, so there you go. Of course, the photo here is of Jerry Saggs and Brian Knobbs, the Nasty Boys, who would be the WWF Tag Team Champions at the time. September 91, I had this magazine as a kid. Sting and Lex Luger versus the Steiners, how their friendship survived the most brutal match of the year. That was at Super Brawl, which I was talking about earlier on. And I want to show something in this magazine because since I had it, it was one of the few times you're going to see this. There it is. Finally, Bobby Eaton makes it on his own. There's Bobby with the NWA World Television Championship. There's not many photos on the internet with Bobby Eaton holding that title. So I'm glad to see that it made it in this magazine, that we can see Bobby with that belt. He only held it for a few weeks. I know it was less than a month because Steve Austin took it off him, but what an accomplishment for Bobby Eaton, a tag wrestler all those years, right? To win a singles world title, albeit the TV title, but still, that was like the workhorse title for the NWA/WCW. And Bobby definitely deserved a small reign with it. If not, at least better than no reign at all. For September 91 of Inside Wrestling, he's in the WWF, and he's in the biggest trouble of his life. That's right. Sid Vicious is now Sid Justice, and he's coming to the WWF. He's going to be the Hulkster's right-hand man, and that, of course, would change as time goes on, unfortunately. And that was Sid's own fault from the stories I've heard. Sid thought he would be better off as a villain, as a heel, and Vince was like, no, you're going to be the next Hogan, the babyface, the good guy, and Sid didn't see it that way. So Sid kind of jeopardized his own WWF career in 91 and 92, and then went off to play softball. September 91, Sports Review Wrestling. Can Sid bring real justice to the WWF? We see a pompous perfect, an evil earthquake, and an unrelenting Undertaker. And why WCW champ Ric Flair is demanding best of 3 falls matches. So Flair is still on the cover here as WCW champion. He had a best of 3 falls match at the Clash of the Champions with beautiful Bobby Eaton in June of 91. That was, I think, his last televised WCW match, really, because he wasn't at the Great American Bash a month later, right? We all know that story. For Wrestling 91, we have, after flirting with death, is the Ultimate Warrior scared, or is it scarred? Scarred for life. It's probably scarred. It's 2 R's. Scarred for life. Flair Fujinami Super Brawl. Why the champ may never recover. Man, they're still hyping that match, right? Like, I guess it was good. I mean, I don't know. It was a typical Flair match, and I never really cared for Fujinami. He was okay, but I was a Great Muta fan or a Masahiro Chono fan. So, to each their own. We now have October of 1991, and I had this PWI magazine. It's Sid Justice, the second coming of Hulk Hogan. The Desert Storm rages on. Hulk Hogan won't stop until Sergeant Slaughter is obliterated. Let me try that again. Obliterated. There we go. So this is an interesting one. First of all, the color photo here is of Lex Luger, which is that picture from Lex Luger is probably like 87 maybe. That doesn't look that new. But anyways, if I can find it in here. They did do colored photos in here too. They started, but this is what I want to talk about. Steve Williams crowned first UWF champion. This, of course, being Herb Abrams' UWF. And again, it's Bam Bam Bigelow who puts over Steve Dr. Death to win the title. Bam Bam made a career out of putting other stars over and not really getting his own flowers, right? I mean, he was ECW champion just to put over Douglas in Douglas's hometown. He held the TV title for like a month before losing it to Rob Van Dam. I just don't know why, for a guy that was marked as like the next big thing, to just never have that. It was weird. And they kind of say that in his Dark Side of the Ring episode too, right? Like Vince McMahon picked Bam Bam to wrestle Lawrence Taylor at WrestleMania because he knew Bam Bam could deliver, and then Bam Bam put over LT, and then what? Nothing. Didn't have any real reward except for tagging up with Diesel. Which is not a bad thing. I love Diesel, but you know. Next up is The Wrestler. We have a 25 years celebration. It's the silver anniversary celebration of wrestling's most respected magazine. I didn't even know I had this. This is kind of neat. Is there colored photos in here? Oh yeah, there is. The most memorable photos of the past 25 years. So we'll see what we got here for colored photos. Of course, all these photos can probably be seen in old magazines of The Wrestler, but not in color. They would probably all be in black and white because that's what The Wrestler did. But it's kind of cool that, you know, we're getting, that's a sweet picture of Superstar Billy Graham there. It's just neat to see some colored photos here. Look at a bloodied Bobby the Brain Heenan there. Some of these photos look weird too. It's probably because they're older and they just aren't, they fade or something. But it's neat to see some of these in here. Cool. That is the October 1991 edition if anyone's looking to purchase that and add it to their collection. October 91 for Inside Wrestling is SummerSlam 91. Savage and Elizabeth, a match made in heaven, and Hogan and Warrior battle the odds in the match. Oh man, made in hell probably. I need to update that. Look at the bottom of that magazine. Let's see, is it match? Probably it's match made in hell. Let me take a look. I don't know. It doesn't really say here where it's at, but yeah, I'm gonna say it's match made in hell. For October 91 for Sports Review Wrestling. If Hulk Hogan's movie is a success, we all lose. Good news, Suburban Commando was not a success. By any means. Okay, let's be honest. The best Hulk Hogan movie probably was No Holds Barred. It just was. I mean, as a kid, you love the Hulkster, you love wrestling. It was just perfect. Suburban Commando, no. Mr. Nanny, no. I watched Mr. Nanny in the theater with my dad. I remember I asked my dad, can you take me to the movies to go see Mr. Nanny? We went there and it was okay, but I don't remember a damn thing about it. I would probably watch it now just to see it again, but it wasn't anything spectacular. Robert Gibson, Rick Morton will pay for selling me out. That, of course, is when Ricky Morton turned on Robert Gibson to join the York Foundation with Terrence Taylor and Miss Alexandra York. Up next, October 91. I had this magazine as a kid. Wrestling Superstars. For crimes against wrestling, these men must be banned. Earthquake, Rick Morton, Sergeant Slaughter, The Undertaker, Typhoon, Nikita Koloff, Eric Embry, Colonel De Beers, DC Drake, and Kevin Sullivan. Sting's shocking admission. Thank you, Nikita. You woke me up. And the Superstar Dream match for this one is Andre the Giant versus El Gigante. What a dream match. Said no one ever. You know what's funny? I saw on a picture of Andre the Giant show up on Facebook, and I was reading comments and hearing people say, oh, my favorite wrestler. Oh, he was a great wrestler. No, he wasn't. Andre the Giant was just a big attraction. He didn't wrestle. I mean, I guess in his younger days, he did do more moves, no doubt, but he was always a sports entertainer. He was never a technical wrestler. Though, if you get, I think it's called Inside the Steel Cage. It's a WWF Coliseum video. Andre the Giant versus Kamala from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Andre jumps off the top rope and like does an earthquake splash, like, you know, like Doink the Clown, Matt Bourne or whatever, like that kind of butt splash to Kamala. Crazy. It was crazy to see. And I'm pretty sure he does it to Big John Studd in a cage match too. And like, I think it's best of the WWF Volume 3. So check those out if you can find them, either on YouTube or something. It's pretty crazy to see Andre do that. Up next is, I guess that was what? No, was that? Which one was that? It was October. Okay, we're on to November now. November 91 for PWI. Your wedding gift for Savage and Elizabeth. Help lift the Macho Man suspension. Here's a photo from 1988 to help you out in 1991. And the photo here is of beautiful Bobby Eaton. Of course, that photo looks like it's from 1988 maybe. Or 89. It doesn't look that new, but still cool to have. November of 91 for the wrestler. The total package unraveled. Lex Luger wins the WCW title but loses his fans. That's right, Lex defeated Barry Windham in that cage match because Ric Flair wasn't there. He left the company. Lex finally won the belt. Now my question is, I wonder if Ric Flair had stayed, would Lex Luger had defeated Ric Flair to win the WCW world title? That'd be a question I would love to ask Lex if I ever met him, just because, like, it makes you wonder, was Flair still set to keep the belt? I mean, he always beat Lex. We're talking at Great American Bash 88, Starrcade 88, Capital Combat 90, Wrestle War 90, you know, all these events. Ric Flair bested Lex Luger, so who knows if that would have happened again in 91. Inside Wrestling, November 91. Our investigation reveals the truth behind the Hogan-Savage connection. So, again, photos from like 1988 or so and 1990 for the Hulkster there. But still, yeah, the Mega Powers, I guess, that's what they're going with still. Lex Luger, it's time for the world to forget Ric Flair. And they kind of did there, right? Luger was actually a pretty good WCW champion in 91 and 92. There's no doubt. November 91 for Sports Review Wrestling. Test your wrestling IQ. What every informed fan ought to know. Hulk Hogan. Who were his managers? Lex Luger. What was his previous pro sport? Sting and Ultimate Warrior. Where did they both get their start? And up here we got the feuds of the Great American Bash 91. We see Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson there destroying each other. That match wasn't as good as it should have been, too. I think it's because Robert still had a bum knee or something. I remember Robert left again right after that match. It was really weird. What do you got next? Oh, we have this. Oh, my God. Yeah, so this is something big. This is a Stanley Weston style magazine. I talked about this in the 1992 edition of doing this. So, but here it is, the first ever WCW magazine. We got El Gigante and Rick and Scott Steiner on the cover. This was the first one. I had this as a kid. It goes for pretty decent money on the old eBay too, because it's the first one, right? It's a collector's edition, debut issue. I have it. I don't think I have the poster in it though. I don't believe I have the poster. If I had the poster, I would be paying a lot of money for it. I think I got this at a reasonable price because it lacks the poster, but I really don't care. I just wanted it. I got it, so it's pretty sweet. Next up now is December of 1991. And we have the PWI 500. This is it. This is the first one. I remember I had this as a kid. I thought it was so cool. They go through 500 wrestlers. They're telling you where certain guys were that you hadn't seen on TV for a long time. It was just really neat. There is a poster here. The poster is of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. But let's take a look at who the top 10 were here. We have, and it's done like this style, we have Hulk Hogan, Lex Luger, Ric Flair, Randy Savage, Sting, Scott Steiner, Rick Steamboat, Steve Dr. Death Williams, Arn Anderson, and Rick Steiner as our top 10 stars from 1991. Pretty solid. Well, sorry. Pretty solid that they, have that many. Let me move this back a bit here. There we go. Those are top 10 stars from 1991, no doubt about that. December 91 for the wrestler. Roddy Piper's exclusive analysis, Flair versus Hogan, who will win the match of the century? Definitely not the fans, right? In the WWF, that was horrible. Their WCW battles were much better. And Sting wins the U.S. title. Now Luger will have to wrestle me. And it did happen at Super Brawl 2, February 29th, 1992. Inside Wrestling. This is the magazine I just updated recently. It's a night to remember. SummerSlam provides heat for the cold months ahead. There we see Justice prevails as Slaughter chokes Hogan. Hart wrestles the perfect match, the hat trick for Legion of Doom, and Macho Man and Wife. And we got Ron Simmons. We predict an All-American upset. Ron Simmons will defeat Lex Luger at Halloween Havoc. Well, the match was 2 out of 3 falls for the WCW title. Ron did beat Lex. He pinned him for the first fall. Got disqualified for the second and then lost the third. So Ron did not win the WCW World title until I believe it was August 2nd of 92, defeating Big Van Vader. Sports Review Wrestling, December 91. Hulk Hogan to Sid Justice. It's up to you, kid. See, right there. This magazine's even saying it, that Sid is going to be the next Hogan, and Sid just didn't want it. I don't know why. It's so dumb, You don't want to be the biggest star of the company? Okay. Go back to WCW then and tag with Vader. December 91, I had this magazine as a kid for Wrestling Superstars. Hogan versus Flair, preview and analysis of the dream match that's becoming a reality. And it did become a reality, like I said, and it wasn't that great. Plus, analyzing the sport's top 20 tag teams at the time. It's a cool magazine to have if you're a Hogan or Flair fan, I guess. Wrestling 91. This is a great cover. I love this. Sting and Lex Luger ready for an all-out war. This is the Winter 91 edition. Sting is U.S. champ. Lex is WCW champ. Lex very heavy on the steroids here, no doubt. Look at that. He's so puffy and just big. It's just ridiculous. I don't even know how he was moving because he just looks like he's in pain with how, I don't know. I mean, Lex was already a big dude. He didn't have to get that big. It reminds me of when Test came back to the WWE in like 2006, I think it was, and he was like this giant uproided guy. And when he was already big to begin with, it was ridiculous. And last but not least, December 91 for the WCW magazine, Lex, a new advisor, a new attitude, a new title. There it is, Lex Luger with the WCW Championship. So that's how WCW magazine ended 1991 for them with the total package as the world champion on the cover. All right. There it is, 1991. What a year. I mean, really, what a year. I mean, like, we covered so much there. And again, I could have opened up a lot of these magazines and went through a lot of things on them. But then instead of being here for 40 minutes, I would be here for an hour and 40 minutes. And I don't think we want that. I don't think anyone wants that, right? If you want to see magazines like inside, please follow a friend of mine named Andrea. Just follow her. I always put a link in the description to her YouTube channel because she will take the magazine and she will open it page by page. She'll even look at stuff like this, like page by page, if you want to see inside of some of these magazines. And of course, again, another guy, a buddy of mine online, his name's Bill too, Pro Wrestling Mags. He's got everything. So if you want to see like everything, like sometimes I'll be missing a month or so. This one, I think I'm pretty lucky. I think I had every magazine from this year. I don't think I was missing any, but the odd time I am missing one still because I just haven't found it. He's got them all, and he will gladly, do videos and show you. So check out his stuff too. But I'm up to 156 subscribers now. I posted a screen cap of the YouTube profile on my Instagram, hoping that would help attract new viewers to my channel. And I'm not trying to get this channel to grow to make money off it. That's not the end game. Because I really don't know how to do that. They say you have to have 1,000 subscribers and then YouTube will contact you about making money off it. And I'm sure it means I have to change everything around that I'm doing with this. And I really don't have the effort or time to do that. But it's just cool that a lot of you people are following this and leaving comments, talking about what you remember from this era of these magazines. And it's just really fun. And I'm so glad I'm bringing a lot of people together. And I hope that you guys are also following the people that I mentioned as well that have YouTube channels for magazines. Because it's just I would love to see this community just grow, because wrestling magazines are a thing of our past. They're a thing that brought us happiness in the day, right? I mean, a lot of times we missed pay-per-views. Our parents couldn't afford it, or we didn't have cable TV. So the magazines gave us the photos and the information we needed to know about what happened at these events. And to this day, it's still cool to have them. And I'm so thankful for my collection. I really am. I know it's not even anywhere near being 100% complete, but I'm just so happy with what I have. So, all right. Thanks again for anyone who's recently subscribed or commented or liked or shared the videos. I mean, please do so. If you know anyone who loved this year of 1991, let them know. Show the video to them, right? But yeah, and to all the new people who've recently found my channel, thanks. I hope you're enjoying it. To the ones who have been trekking along with me, I'm glad you still are. So I will probably end this now, since I do have to work today. I just wanted to get this in. It's been a while since I've done a cool video like this, like, one of a year one. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed 1991. And I'm not sure what year I'll do next, but I know there's still quite a bit to do, but I'll figure it out as time comes along. So again, until I do another video, I'll talk to you guys later.